Hello, ghost hunters. Let's talk about useless items. No, I'm not talking about your teammates. I'm talking about the gear that we bring in the van with us and then leave it there for the entire ghost hunting experience. What makes it so useless, and is it as useless as you think? Stay tuned to find out. I made a list of all the items that we can pack in the van for each of our ghost hunts. Then I ranked each item based on 5 different categories. My categories were: used to find the ghost room, used to identify the ghost, has an objective, ensures the safety of the ghost hunters, can't be replaced by something else, with priority given to starter items that we don't have to buy. So the highest scoring any one item could have received would have been a 5, and probably to no surprise, no item received a scoring of a 5. The highest ranked item was the EMF because it's used to find the ghost room, it's used to identify the ghost type, it has an objective, and it can't be replaced by something else. Since some items can't be replaced by something else, including your ability to hear or to see, those items were immediately removed from the list because, well, they're useful. Of the remaining items, only the candle has an objective, so it was removed from the list as well. For the rest of the items, well, they all scored anywhere from a 0 to a 2. So let's take a look at these items and determine why they are considered useless. First up is the tripod. I hear your collective groans, as some of you have certainly determined the tripod is useful. And while it may be handy, that doesn't mean it's useful. There are loads of good places to plop your camera down that don't require a tripod. In fact, I rarely use tripods because I find places inside every location that I feel are much more useful. So while I won't blame people for bringing them on hunts, I also understand why some of us don't bring them. One pet peeve of mine in regards to the tripod is that while I can pick up a camera and swap to another item, I can't do that with a tripod. So it actually hinders my ability to use a detection device, and in my opinion, this means taking a camera into the location as a secondary item is impossible, and thus making the tripod a useless item. Next up is the sound sensor. I don't expect I'll get a lot of pushback from ghost hunters by calling this item useless. When was the last time you actually tried to use a sound sensor? What was that? Never, you say? And why is that? Well, because what does it do other than tell us that there's sound somewhere? Thanks, Sherlock. I can hear that. I'll admit early on that I wanted this item to be useful. I brought them on hunts and even placed them, but I found that by the time I'd placed them in an area that they were detecting sound, a couple of things had happened. First, on large locations, my sanity had drained to 0, and well, the ghost was hunting me relentlessly. In smaller locations, I'd already figured out the ghost location without needing the sound sensor. It's probably hard to believe that there's anything more useless than the parabolic microphone, but there is. The sound sensor scored a 0, and it has no redeeming qualities like the tripod does. I had 5 items that came back with a score of a 1. These include the flashlight, the infrared light sensor, the parabolic microphone, the Glowsticks, and the head-mounted camera. Of these 5 items, I actually bring 2 of them on almost every single one of my hunts. The Glowsticks, while having some redeeming qualities like being able to provide light and often revealing footprints, can be replaced by the UV light, and thus it only scored in the used to identify the ghost. I use them to mark crucifixes on floors where sometimes the crucifixes blend in a bit more than I would like. The head-mounted camera can be used to find ghost orbs, so it also got 1 point for being used to identify the ghost. But it can be replaced by a camera, and if you're playing solo, you can't even use it to identify the ghost. So both of these items are more like luxuries and not really useful, as they provide functions provided by other items. The difference between the regular flashlight and the strong flashlight is noticeable, and there's no ghost hunter out there saying they prefer the dim dollar store flashlight over the strong flashlight. Because of this, the flashlight only got a point in ensuring a ghost hunter's safety because it does still provide light, making it easier to escape the ghost during a hunt. But it is replaced very early on in the game by the strong flashlight. Now the parabolic microphone, ugh, what to say about this piece of garbage? I actually feel for the developer on this one because he has tried so hard to make it useful, but it's just not. It doesn't detect sound early enough and from far enough to be useful to ghost hunters. By the time it's picked up that there's sound, you've already heard the sound yourself. And on top of that, by the time it's registered sound, I'd already found the ghost room every single time. It's still too big, and it's still too clunky for ghost hunters to like this thing. I've heard a lot of nicknames for it. Share yours in the comments below. And finally, the infrared light sensor. I did give it 1 point for ensuring ghost hunters' safety, but let's be fair here. We can just turn on a light, or we could light a candle, and that's even an objective. I have a friend who uses it sometimes in place of a flashlight, and while that does kind of work, it doesn't flash during a hunt, and it needs a wall to be placed. The ghost can set it off, sure, but you'd have to know where the ghost was to know where to place it. It's more of a novelty item, and they never leave my van, unless I get a restless teammate who's decided that it's time to decorate. And the very last item on this list, scoring the only 2 on the list of useless items, the thermometer. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Remember when this item was the go-to tool? Everyone wanted the thermometer. Now I pack 3, and when we leave, all 3 are still sitting on the shelf. So what happened? Well, this video here, that's what happened. The thermometer got points for being used to find the ghost room, because I know some of you still use it. Although even you have to admit that by the time you found the ghost room, the thermometer really wasn't any help. I also gave it a point for being used to identify the ghost, because it can detect freezing temperatures, but this is replaced by you actually being able to visually see the freezing temperatures. So that's only useful if you happen to not notice huge puffs of smoke around you and your teammates. Do you find any of these items to be actually useful? Tell me in the comments what you use them for. I'd love to hear suggestions that would make these things seem more appealing to all of us ghost hunters. And you never know, maybe I'll even make a video about it. I'm certain that many of you will continue to pack these into the van for every hunt. If for no other reason, then it's just easier to hit all on every single item than to pick and choose. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and as always, happy hunting.